What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're going to be diving into Batman the Detective, issue number 1. Now, this story is written by Tom Taylor, pencils are by Andy Kubert, inks are by Andy Kubert as well, and colored by Brad Anderson. Now, if you didn't check out the Joker or Batman Urban Legends, go check out those videos. We posted them a little bit earlier today. You're definitely going to want to get caught up on everything that's been going on in the Infinite Frontier line. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so this story starts us on a plane. A plane that's flying 36,000 feet above England. Now, this flight is Wayne Airlines Flight 89, and there is 147 passengers on board this flight. And as the stewardess gets her count, we see her put on a parachute and throw on a mask that looks almost identical to Batman, but it is pure white. And in that same instance, we see an explosion come from the cockpit of this airplane. And in all of this panic, we see multiple individuals putting on masks that look identical to Batman's and trying to make their escape. This is all a plan. This is all set up by somebody. But before they're able to make their escape, we see the arrival of Night. And she comes in just kicking some butt and letting these guys know that they're not getting away with it. Now, realizing the plane's going down, they don't want to have to do a fight here. They grab her foot and they jump out. And we see as they fall, she grabs onto one of these individuals as they let their parachute go. But they continue to fall and they hit pretty freaking hard on the ground. It doesn't look like anybody could have really survived that. And this is when one of the individuals walks up to her with a pistol in hand and tells her that this is about equilibrium. And then the plane crashes and we see on the building graffiti written Batman 147. And then we're taken over to the Batcave and we see Batman really brooding with himself, trying to figure out what his best option here is. You know, he's been fighting for Gotham for so long, but what changes has he really made? What good has he truly done? You know, he spent a lifetime fighting crime, living by an oath, going on this crusade. The only real difference he's made is the people that he's helped directly. You know, crime hasn't stopped. His city definitely isn't safer. So in the harsh reality of things, he hasn't made Gotham a better place. And now Alfred's gone. His entire family is gone. And so who is he? Who is he without all of these people that surround him? And now he's getting word that a plane far away from this city has crashed. And the crime scene has his name literally written all over it. So he asks himself, what is keeping him here? Because there's no future. There's only memories. This manor, so excessively big, there's no reason for him to stay. In this house, in this city, he feels like he needs to get a break. And this is where it's time for the Bat to leave the cave. Maybe even forever. And we see Bruce Wayne with suitcases leaving the Wayne Manor and picking up in Landshire. Now, Batman recognizes this place because Alfred had brought him here when he was about 13 years old. And ever since he arrived, he's felt a really strange and cold chill coming over. And he gets this feeling that he's not alone. And so he calls out to the individual. And there's someone hiding behind a wall. That somebody being Squire. Now they start having a little bit of conversations on where Night is. Because right now she's unconscious. She just fell from a freaking plane, but she's recovering. And Batman lets Squire know, alright, well, I will have a lot of questions for her. But right now I have to set up this kind of forensic scan. And he sets up this pole that does a scan of the entire area for footprints, fibers, fingerprints, hairs, DNA, anything you could think of, it's going to be there. And this is when he pulls out some gloves that he got from John Constantine after John Constantine won them in a poker match against a demon. Now Squire, she thinks, what are you doing? Why are you putting some gloves on? Like, are you cold? Like, what's your problem? But this is when we see the arrival of the Gentleman Ghost. And Gentleman Ghost, he feeds on fear. That's his main thing. That's what he does. And right now, there was a ton of fear because of all the people that had died here. And this is where we see Gentleman Ghost reach his fist into Batman's chest and find where his fear is. His fear of failure, of letting people down, of letting those he loves and care about die. And he goes to feast on this, but this is when Batman grabs him using these super awesome gloves. And Gentleman Ghost, he's thrown off. He's like, what the crap? Like, how are you doing this? And Batman goes to beat the crap out of Gentleman Ghost. And with Gentleman Ghost getting wrung through the ringer, Batman beats him to a pulp and the spirit ends up flying off and going in another direction. And Squire is left sitting there like, holy crap, dude, you just beat up a freaking dead man. Now, this is when we're taken to Tower Hospital in London, and Batman is meeting up with Knight. Now, obviously, Batman, he's not here for pleasantries. He's here to ask questions. He's here to figure out exactly what's going on. And this is where she tells Batman, they said it was something about him and equilibrium. Now, Batman's not 100% sure on what's happening, but he does have his suspicions. And he'll know for certain when the computer is finished doing its cross-referencing with the passenger list of other DNA. And this is when the computer goes off. The AI has detected some hostiles inside the hospital making their way towards Knight because they've come to finish her off. Come to take care of her. And this is where we see these Batman wannabes come pouring through the hallway, and they're stopped mid in their tracks by Squire. Now, Squire, she's heartless, but at the end of the day, these guys could easily take her on. But they don't know that Batman is freaking here. And this is when all hell breaks loose. They start opening fire, and Batman starts beating some imposter butt. And he's beating the crap out of these guys. They fly out of a window, and all the way down, he's beating the crap out of them, uses them as a cushion, but he's not the same guy he once was. He's an older man now. And so with this fall, he cracked a rib, he dislocated his shoulder, but he's better trained. He just has to be smarter and more efficient with his punches. He has to know when to make the right move, make the right attack. He needs to put these guys down, and he needs to do it quickly because they're going to have more energy than him. And this is where we see a speedboat approaching, probably their escape plan, and everybody's still trying to open fire on him, but he uses his cape and blocks it, and uses his grappling hook and grabs one of these guys before they're all able to make their escape. And this is where we see Batman show up in the window of the hospital room, grappling hook in hand as he's dangling one of these guys from the roof. Now, this is when the computer finishes up its scan, and he has an understanding of the passenger list because it's been cross-referenced with all of the database. Now, this is where Batman learns that all of this had been engineered. All passengers aboard the Gotham to London flight from all over the world, every one of them had at one point been rescued by Batman. And so the people who he's helped are getting taken out. Those small few individuals he feels like he's done something for, the people he's helped directly, somebody is targeting them. Someone is taking the lives that Batman has once saved. Alright guys, so issue number 2, it picks us up in London at the Big Ben. And we see a man dangling over the rooftop. A man who is a member of Equilibrium. Now, Equilibrium, they're kind of like a terrorist organization that's been dressing up as Batman and undoing everyone he has ever saved. And by undoing, I mean they're killing them. And so one by one, these guys are slowly erasing every good deed that Batman has ever done. Now, coming to London to track them down. And so we pick up with Batman dangling a man by the name of Matthew Sprague at the top of Big Ben. Now, Batman, he's trying to get information, as much information about the leader of Equilibrium as he can. But at the end of the day, this guy, he's just a henchman. And the leader, she always wears a mask, and she pays good money, so they don't really ask those kind of questions. Now, as Batman is sitting here interrogating this man, this guy is struggling. He's struggling a lot, and Batman tells him to stop because eventually this rope is gonna break if he doesn't stop struggling. But this only makes the man panic more, and we see the rope break, and he goes plunging down to the ground, only for Batman to whip out his grappling hook and save the man at the last minute. And Batman lets the man run off. And this is when we see that Batman is accompanied by Squire. And Squire is a little bit confused, because from Squire's perspective, Batman is letting this guy get away. But really, this guy is getting tracked. Batman planted a tracker in him so that he would be led back to the location of where the equilibrium is holding up right now inside of London. Now, Squire, she believes doing all of this was a little bit theatrical, a little bit elaborate to just plant a tracker on the guy and get him running. But Squire is also only 14 years old. And this is where we see the two. They head off in a Batmobile that Batman has stored away in London. And we learn a little bit about Squire. We learn that, she doesn't really have parents, and that the foster parents she did have, they were either abusive or they were negligent. One of the two. And Knight ended up taking her in and helping her become who she is today. And Batman is a little confused on it, like, why her? Why pick this individual to be Squire? But the Knight chose her specifically because she's talented, and she was hurting. And Batman, he knows there's more to this story. And we see him here with Knight in an underground hospital. A hospital that Batman knows about because he's been brought here before. He's had to visit this hospital on multiple occasions. This is a hospital that doesn't ask questions, and they patch you up quick. And so, on more than one occasion, Batman has visited this place. He's been beat up, he's had to visit London for some reason, and ends up having some kind of issues. And he was showed this place by somebody he trusts, or, used to trust. Now, this is where we pick up at the headquarters of Equilibrium, and we see our guy Matthew, the one who escaped Batman, escaped with a tracker planted inside of him. And they're sitting here wondering, like, how he got away from Batman, like, how he escaped Batman. Like, no, there's no way you escaped Batman. And Matthew tells him, it wasn't easy. He almost died because of it. If Batman hadn't caught him, he would have died. And this is where the leader commands all of her little minions to strip him down. Strip him down to absolutely nothing. And he swears that this isn't necessary, because he showered, he changed clothes before he came over here, and there was no tracker planted on him. But this is when she does an X-ray scan of his body. Doing the X-ray scan, she sees a little bat symbol implanted in his chest. And she informs him that there's a tracker planted inside of him. And so immediately she tells everybody to scrub the site and move to Site B. We're packing up and we're moving within the next 3 minutes. Now Matthew, sitting here naked, is asking if he can have his clothes back so he can help out, but he's informed that he's not going with them. And this is when one of the lieutenants, he asked Matthew, you said you almost died. You also said that Batman saved you. This means that you shouldn't exist. And this is where he pulls out a pistol and shoots Matthew dead on the spot. That's their whole thing. Anybody that Batman has saved, they're killing without any mercy. Now this is where we pick up with Bruce Wayne on a train making his way towards Paris. Because the tracker, that's where the location it really was last pinging. And it hasn't moved in about 20 minutes. Which means he's either sleeping or the man is dead. Now this is where Bruce Wayne, he hears something. He hears feet on the train roof. Now he usually wouldn't risk out of costume, but he hears and he smells something that he hasn't smelt in at least 10 years. This man, he could have masked the smell, but he didn't want to. He's playing with Bruce Wayne. Now Bruce, he doesn't like games, but Henry Ducard, he does. And that's who we see as Batman walks into this cart. Now Ducard goes to call him Batman, greeting him, but Bruce Wayne, he runs over to him and hushes his mouth. Now, and this is where Ducard lets him know, you need to chill out, dude. I made sure that we're alone. I made sure that no one can hear us, but people can see us. And if they see two people roughing each other up in here, they might go get somebody, and that'll cause a whole other situation. Now, Ducard, he's a criminal. He's also the greatest manhunter alive. He's the one who taught Batman how to hunt people. Now, Ducard lets us know that he's been following Bruce Wayne since yesterday. You know, he really figured that he would be in England, especially after that plane went down and someone signed his name at the scene. But he also lets him know that there are more murders than he knows about, and he's been quietly putting together a dossier over the last few weeks. You know, there's groups of people killing the people that he saved. And as soon as the media finds out about this connection, there's going to be pandemonium. There's going to be panic, and everybody who's ever been saved by the Batman is going to be terrified. Now, Ducard, he really does want to help Batman in this situation, but Batman doesn't want his help. At the end of the day, this guy's a criminal, and Batman doesn't like working with criminals, especially if he doesn't have to. And Ducard lets him know, man, like, Bruce Wayne, he's a great manhunter, but he is not the best. Ducard claims that he is the best, and then he's gonna need his help. You know, that's the reason he's not the best, is because he never takes help. He always thinks that he has to go in and do this alone. You know, at one point in time, they saved London together, and Batman also turned him in right after it happened. And this is when we hear the conductor say that they are arriving in Paris. And Ducard lets him know, like, if you change your mind, come find me. But he doesn't give a location. He wants to make Batman search for him. Now, before Batman can go looking for him, he's got business to take care of. And this is when he goes to find Matthew, the man he planted the tracker in. And arriving at Matthew's body, there's a post-it on Matthew's body that says Batman -1. Signifying that it's just another one down, another individual that Batman saved that they have now taken off the board. Now, this place, it's been scrubbed clean. Everything except this. This was just a message, a call sign, if you will, letting them know that they're not scared, that they're going to continue to do this one by one. And this is where Batman decides that it's time to call this in, and also it's time to hunt down Ducard. But really, he's not that hard to find. You know, he booked a penthouse suite, and he got a hold of Bruce Wayne's credit card somehow. So finding him, that's not going to be difficult, not in the slightest bit. The only issue is, Batman isn't the first one there. And this is where we see the leader of Equilibrium showing up behind Ducard, as well as her lieutenants, and a few of her other henchmen. Now, the leader, she lets Ducard know that he's been digging too much. He's gone too deep. Not only that, but he was once saved by Batman, which means he should not exist in their opinion, and they have come to be the executioners. And this is where Ducard tells her that she's always been a bit unstable, and he knows what happened, and this isn't going to change it. And this is where she puts a gun to his head and says that it's about equilibrium. And in a flash, we see him quickly grab some of their guns, turn the guns on them, and he starts blasting away, getting shots in a good number of them until they finally grapple him and push him over to the edge. As he's sitting here at the edge, this is where we see the arrival of Batman. And Ducard, he tells him, you know, you're not gonna escape Batman. Like, he doesn't let anything go. But they're gonna play the oldest trick in the book. They know that Batman is going to try to save Ducard, no matter what, at all costs. And so what we see them do is fill him full of bullets and then drop him from the building. Because Batman is always predictable. He always saves them, no matter what. And this is where we see Batman swoop in and grab Ducard's body before it falls to the ground. And this is where we see Batman holding his body as he slowly bleeds out under the streetlights of Paris. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Personally, I'm really enjoying this line. You know, people may not be entirely thrilled with him leaving Gotham City, but I really enjoy him in this new environment and giving an opportunity for a fresh story away from Gotham and introducing us to a whole new organization that is fully vindicated on taking out everything good Batman has ever done. And the motivation, it seems extremely personal. So I have to say, Tom Taylor, you know, he did amazing writing. The pencils, the artwork, it's really fun in this. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I'm really excited to see how this 6-issue miniseries comes to a close. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you haven't yet, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell so you're not missing any of the other content we have coming out. And until the next breakdown. Alright guys, so as we jump into issue number 3, we pick up with Batman rushing into a hospital. Rushing in, carrying Henry in his arms because Henry has been filled with gun wounds. Somebody gunned him down, taking 6 shots to the chest, 4 of them being able to break through the vest. Batman tells them all of his information, tells him the blood type, tells him he's a smoker, tells him his age, and they ask how he is connected to the individual. But how Batman is connected to Henry is not such an easy question to answer, and that's what will bring us to the past. And we pick up at a cafe in Paris, with Bruce Wayne sitting here appearing to be following somebody, because this somebody approaches him, a Frenchman asking who he may be, because Bruce Wayne has been following him for quite some time now, and this man wants to know why. But this is where we hear a voice chime in, the voice of Henry, telling the man that Bruce Wayne isn't the one following him, that Henry is. Bruce Wayne is just following Henry. And this is where we see the Frenchman Didier pull a pistol out of his waistband and point it to Ducard. Bruce Wayne, seeing the gun drawn, jumps into action, screaming no, trying to block the shot. Able to get there in time, he grabs the gun and is able to point it towards the air. Bruce Wayne taking the gun from him, gun-butting the man in the face, throwing him to the ground and handcuffing him. And the whole time, Henry is just laughing at this guy because he just got beat up by a teenager. Now, Didier, he wants to know why Henry was following him in the first place. And Henry was following him because he got hired by 3 different agencies to have him arrested so he could answer for all 3 of these crimes. And what works out best for Henry is he's going to get paid for each one of these agencies are going to pay him. So he's going to get 3 times the bounty for one individual. All he has to do is turn him into Interpol. And so they take him to the Interpol building and they turn him in. With Bruce Wayne and Henry leaving this place, Henry asks Bruce Wayne why Bruce Wayne is following him, why he's following, and who may have sent him. But Bruce Wayne tells him that nobody sent him. He's here because he heard this man is the world's greatest manhunter. And Bruce Wayne wants to learn everything that he knows. But Bruce Wayne also wants to keep his identity a secret. And so he tells Henry that they'll do this deal. He'll broker this with him, but he wants to keep his identity secret. And he's willing to pay any ridiculous amount of money to ensure that stays in place. But Henry tells him, you know, that's fine. We'll do this. I'll train you, but we're not doing that tonight. I'm beat down. I'm tired. I need some rest. And he tells Bruce Wayne that they'll begin training on the next day. And that's what will take us to the next morning. The sun barely just rising, and Bruce Wayne trying to wake up Henry, telling him that he is ready for his training. And Henry, completely exhausted, he's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, first of all, like, your first lesson, you can't do this and be a morning person. And he tells him, go away. We don't do any kind of training before noon around here, and definitely not before I get my coffee. And so picking up later on that afternoon, around 3 p.m., Henry is finally getting up, getting out of bed, and he tells Bruce Wayne, like, you can't do this job during the day. Hunting people is something that you have to do at night, when you can hunt in the shadows. Not only because you have shadows, but because there's fewer people out. Fewer people awake that are in your way. And this is where he really starts to dissect who Bruce Wayne is. Because his first question is, who did you lose? And he tells him, you know, I can tell someone died. Someone died that you couldn't prevent. And that's what's bringing you upon this path. You may have a tough exterior, but on the inside, he sees nothing but goo. And he saw his face when the Frenchman pulled a gun on him. He saw how scared Bruce Wayne was. Not for himself, but he risked his life to try to prevent something that has already happened. Trying to save somebody, trying to stop the past. And so the training begins. Ducard trains him for months. Teaches him how to watch people, how to follow people, and how to detect if people were ever trying to not leave a trace. They took people in together, and he found that Henry has friends in every small crevice of this world. And this is an important skill that Bruce Wayne needs to learn, especially at this point, because Bruce Wayne's been working alone. He prefers to work alone, but he tells him it's nice to have friends. It's nice to have people that are going to have your back, because at the end of the day, you can't win every single fight. And so with all of this training under his belt, he wanted to prove to himself that he could do this alone. Wanted to prove that he didn't need anybody to be able to have his back. And so he chose a man from the list of Ducard's contracts. A man that was presumably a ghost. But Bruce Wayne studied this man. Every little detail about his life. His family, his history, everything. He questioned and he traced. He tracked him, but he got a little bit too close. And this ghost was able to get the jump on Bruce Wayne. Get the jump on him, ends up knocking him out and bringing him to a basement cellar. Bruce Wayne waking up, finding himself tied up, and this man he was tracking, questioning him, asking who sent him and why he is here. And this is when Bruce Wayne, he realizes he underestimated his target. And it literally took him being tied to a chair, bleeding out, with a gun being pointed in his face to realize sometimes you actually need other people. And in this instance, that's exactly what he has. He has some backup. And this is where we see Henry smash down this door and come charging in. And coming into the room, the ghost man drops his gun and Henry goes over and he unties Bruce Wayne. And the whole time, the ghost, he's telling him, do you know who I work for? Once they find out who you guys are, why you're here, and that you're the ones that did this, they're going to come for you. But Henry tells the man that no one is going to be able to find out about this. And that's when Henry lifts his pistol up and blasts this guy in the face. And Bruce Wayne, completely thrown off, in complete shock about what just happened. Screaming what did you do? And Henry telling him it's pretty self-explanatory what I just did. And he asks him, what's the problem? This man hurt you, and I was also hired to kill this man. And Bruce Wayne, in his anger, not being able to hold himself back, he punches Henry in the face. Now, being young, being dumb, being concussed, and Ducard being a pro, Bruce Wayne has no advantage here. And Henry puts him in the ground real quick. And he tells Bruce Wayne not to get up. That he liked him at one point in time, but he's way too intense. But tells him, whatever justice you think I deserve, I promise you, I'm not gonna let it happen. And he tells Bruce Wayne, I am not happy that you are making me do this. I am not happy about this at all. But one thing I am definitely good at, I'm good at finding people, but I'm also just as good at disappearing. Now, Bruce Wayne, he never saw him again on this trip. And there had been some small encounters over the years that they ran into each other. But then there was 10 years ago in London. The city had been under evacuation. Somewhere, a madman had a nuclear device and was threatening to blow up the entire city. And so Batman tracked the man down. Tracked him to a long abandoned subway station. But when Batman arrives at this location, he realizes that somebody had already beat him here. That somebody being Henry. And as Batman walks into the room, he sees a man dead, Henry with a gun and knife in his hand, and a nuclear bomb at his feet. And Henry looks over, sees Batman, and says, Bruce? And then realizes exactly how it looks and tells him, hey, hold on, it's not how it looks. But Batman doesn't waste any time. And we see the two of them start fighting. And in the midst of their fight, Henry tells him to wait. And he tells him, dude, I know what you're thinking. I know that you think I did this. I didn't do this because I needed him alive. I needed him alive to be able to defuse this bomb. I can't torture a dead man. And Henry tells Batman that this happened as soon as he arrived. As soon as the man saw Henry, he shot himself. Now Batman asks, what are you even doing here? But Henry, he was hired. Because there are plenty of people that would hire an individual to track somebody like this down and stop a nuclear bomb from going off. There's good money in it, so that is why he is here. And with that, we see Batman defuse the bomb, and with the bomb being defused, Henry takes Batman to a location where he can get some patched up. Takes him to the underground infirmary that we saw in previous issues. Now, with Batman all patched up, we see him getting his costume back on, and Henry is trying to have a little bit of small talk, asking how he is, but also tells him he needs to take a little break. Right now he's being held together by stitches and painkiller to just take a rest for a second. But with him completely suited back up, this is when he goes and grabs his handcuffs. He grabs them and throws them on Henry. And he tells Henry that he's taking him in. Now, Henry's at first, he's like, oh my god, dude, like, are you serious? Like, you're seriously going to arrest me right now? And Batman tells him, like, I watched you kill a man. This is something that you have to answer for. But that's what will bring us to present day. And Bruce Wayne had just returned from dropping off Henry at the hospital, but he knew they were coming. He knew the police were going to be at his door soon. He has cameras set up all over this place at every entry and every exit. But besides that, there is nothing else here that is incriminating. Nothing else that could connect him to Batman. So the man that they're coming for, the only individual they could be coming for is Bruce Wayne. And, you know, right now he does have exit options. He could take the air ducts, he could go out the window, but right now he has questions. And Henry, he can't answer them for him. So he has to face whatever this may be. And with that, he goes to the front door and he opens it up. And the police, standing there with guns drawn, tell Bruce Wayne that he is now under arrest. He is now under arrest for the death of Henry Ducard. Alright guys, so issue number 3, we really learned who Henry Ducard was. We got a very in-depth backstory to who he is and his association with Batman. But come the end of the story, Batman ends up getting apprehended by Interpol. A crap ton of cops come piling in and they throw him in cuffs. And so our story is picking us up with Bruce Wayne currently sitting in an interrogation room. Now we all know Batman. He doesn't go to places that he doesn't want to be. And this interrogation room is exactly where he wants to be right now. And as they begin their interrogation into Bruce Wayne, they're trying to find out why he has been in all of the locations where individuals have died, where the Equilibrium has killed people. Now the Equilibrium, they're an organization that is hellbent on more or less making a balance, evening the odds, killing everybody that Batman has ever saved, saying that these people should have died. And the only reason they didn't is because Batman saved them. And so they're going around thinking that they are correcting the errors done. But as they're doing this interrogation with Batman, this is exactly where he wants to be, as we said previously, and it's because they're showing him all of the murders. They're trying to get him to confess. They think that he has something to do with this, or at least that's what it seems right now. And this is more or less giving Bruce Wayne a timeline. It's giving him a chain of events of when everything has happened, so he can more easily track them all down. You know, this is information that he wanted from them that they obviously wouldn't willingly give to Batman. And so he goes ahead and decides to do this little tactic of getting himself arrested, or allowing himself to be arrested, so that he can find out all of this information. Now, as Batman sits here and he sips on his water, they ask him if he recognizes any of these people. And of course he does. He remembers every single one of them. These are the souls, the lives that he saved. But this isn't something that he's going to tell Interpol. He's going to deny any kind of connection to them whatsoever. He's going to play the dumb rich guy that just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And with this interrogation going even more in depth, things start to go a little weird. Things start to seem a little bit off. Batman having a small tickle in his throat, continuously asking for water. He really does believe that he is in the clear. He believes that they're going to release him and he's going to call it a day. But when they get towards the end of this interrogation, they throw him in handcuffs. They handcuff him to the table that is in front of him. And this is when Batman starts to realize that something is not right here. He missed something along the way. And as Bruce Wayne is slowly starting to piece together exactly what is going on here, these two Interpol agents, we soon learn that they are Equilibrium. And they've come here to kill Bruce Wayne because they believe Batman has saved Bruce Wayne at least once. While they thought maybe it could be possible that he is the Batman, they don't believe it to be true because he is far too old to be able to wear the cowl. And so what they believe is that he has been the financier of Batman for all of these years. And so that made Bruce Wayne one of their biggest targets. And now they have him locked up in a room. They poisoned him with the drink that he'd been drinking. And now she drives a knife directly into the back of Bruce Wayne. For one of the few times ever in Batman's history, he has been tricked. He has been outmaneuvered. He has been manipulated. And with the poison going through his body, with him bleeding out all over the place, Equilibrium leaves him here to die. They leave him here, and as they make their exit, he slows his heart rate. He makes it appear as though he is slowly coming to his death. But once they finally leave the room, he stands up. He stands up and he breaks the chains. And as he's making his escape, he's trying his best to disclose his face and who he is. Not wanting to be seen by anybody. He makes his way out of the police station, and this is when he runs into Squire. Squire coming with a lawyer to be able to bail him out of jail. Realizing he's already been released, or quote unquote released, they make their way off. And he lets Squire know that he needs to get to a pharmacy. He needs to get to one right away because he's been poisoned. And he needs activated charcoal to be able to rid his body of this poison, from stopping him from going into a complete body shutdown. And as they make their way to the pharmacy, they get inside, and he doesn't even try to take a small dose. He takes every bit he can. He just needs to get this into his system. That way he doesn't die. And after taking these, we see Bruce Wayne pass out on the ground. Him waking up 2 days later. Squire sitting there by his side, letting him know that in his absence, in those 2 days that he has been asleep, there have been hundreds of people killed by Equilibrium. There was a number of people murdered in individual raids all over the country. And in Russell's, there was a fire where they locked inside tons and tons and tons of people. They are massacring. They are committing genocide. And in Batman's absence, they are left completely unchecked. And Batman, hearing this, he immediately wants to get up. He immediately wants to get back into the fight. 2 days of rest for Batman, that's more than he has ever had in most of his life. And so he tells Squire to go grab the gear, and he gives her a list of fruit that she needs to go pick up. And so Squire, going and getting this little list of fruit, getting his suitcase, they sit on a rooftop and they wait. And what they're waiting for is someone to bring them their mobile Batcave. Because Batman has this girl, Sarah, come by this location every so often, just to ensure that Batman doesn't need the mobile Batcave. Kind of like a check-in that Alfred set up for Batman. But this is his mobile Batcave for Europe. Not having his micro caves like he does in Gotham City. This is his way of being able to get around the city, though I don't know if it would be completely undetected with how completely massive this Batcave is. You would figure that somebody's going to see this, someone's going to report it, someone's going to take a picture of it and post it online. I know I would be out front taking pictures with my selfie and going all out on it. But as Batman gets on board, he activates all of the systems. We seeing just a little bit of remnants left from home. The tiny dinosaur, the tiny penny that they have there. Just little throwbacks to the original Batcave. But with turning the systems on, this is where he gets in contact with Oracle, and they start doing their little investigation to the people that kidnapped him. Not sure if they are the leaders of Equilibrium or if they're just henchmen, but this is their first lead into being able to track them down. And Batman admits one thing. He admits that Ducard was right. Batman is not going to be able to find her by himself the fastest. He's going to be needing some help. He's gonna have to call in some backup here in Europe. And that's when he tells Oracle to activate the European Alliance of the Bat. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 5, we are picking up with Batman hauling across town in his freaking, I would call it like a bat semi-truck. It is a mobile bat cave. And we have Batman making his way across the city. Driving through France, he is trying to figure out where the Equilibrium is going to strike next. And so using the European Alliance of the Bat, he uses all of these resources, connecting them together and trying to solve this. Trying to figure out where they are going to strike next. Now the European Alliance of the Bat is made up of very powerful individuals from all walks of life. You have agency heads, you have police chiefs, diplomats, spies, mercenaries, everybody that he has worked with throughout the years. And because he's Batman, because he's done things for them, they all kind of owe him a favor. And so within the time, he created the European Alliance of the Bat, gathered all these individuals that he's helped over the years to help him when he's in Europe. And so picking up a couple hours later, they finally get a ping on her. They know her location. Catching her on security cameras, they found her entering the square, the Brussels Convention Center. And there appears to be some kind of private party going on tonight. Cross-referencing it with all the individuals that Batman has ever saved, it's looking like a great majority of individuals he saved are here at this party, because this was all planned by Equilibrium. 37 individuals to be specific. And right now the police, they have this place surrounded. It doesn't appear that the hostages have been killed just yet, and they're hoping to be able to send in a negotiator. But on the window, they see written Batman -37. And Batman knows that there is no need for an interrogator. This isn't a hostage situation. Equilibrium has every intention of killing 37 people inside of there. And so Batman, he tells them not to do anything, not to send in a negotiator or anything of that nature, that he himself is going to go in. He's going to end this. He is going to bring down Equilibrium right here and right now. And with Batman jumping in, landing between the hostages and Equilibrium, with dozens of barrels of guns pointed directly at him, the leader of Equilibrium tells him that she really didn't plan on killing him just yet. She had no intention of doing it, but since he decided to impose on this party, since he decided to drop in, they are going to kill Batman along with all of the other individuals. And as they get ready to unload on everybody, this is when he tells all of the hostages that they need to take some steps back. Not only that, he tells Oracle to land it behind him. And this is where we see the mobile Batcave come crashing in. It comes crashing in and it lands directly behind Batman, separating the hostages and Equilibrium, with Squire in the back hollering for all of the hostages to get on board as quickly as possible. And this is when Batman dives in. Now, he's not hoping to be able to defeat all of them. He's hoping just to stall enough time for the hostages to be able to get away, for them to be protected. And so he starts hurting as many people as he can as fast as possible, throwing punches left and right. He is doing everything he can. That is until she shows up. In the midst of this fight, this is when Equilibrium's leader pops up, and she starts giving it to Batman. As these two start to duel it out, he learns very quickly that she's well trained, that she is good, and she might be even too good, because these moves, they're from all over. She studied under some very powerful individuals. I mean, hell, she uses the killing blow straight out of Shiva's playbook. And Batman, he has to kind of be honest with himself and be real that she's good. She's probably one of the best fighters that he has ever gone against. But the goal here isn't to try to defeat her. The goal is to save those people. And with all of them loaded up, this is where we see CS gas administered. With tear gas going all over the place, Batman throws on a mask, and all of Equilibrium is now at a disadvantage. Because right now, Batman is the only one that is able to see. But this is where we see Sullivan, Equilibrium's second in command. And this guy, he's much stronger than he should be. Somehow he's enhanced, something's going on with him, because there is definitely more to his power. But Sullivan, he is just giving Equilibrium the opportunity to be able to escape, saying that the city must fall. And so we see Equilibrium, she runs off. Batman held just long enough for her to be able to make her escape. And this is where we see Squire come up and knock out Big Dude, knock out Sullivan. And so this is a victory. The people were saved and most of Equilibrium has been locked away. But the only issue is that the leader, the one going by Equilibrium, she has been able to escape. But they let Batman know that Henry Ducard, the individual that was in the hospital, someone he's worked with for years and years, Batman went to have people check up on him to make sure that he wasn't a target. And the only thing that was left in his bed was a note saying, "Meet me at the place where we first met." And that's what takes us to Paris, with Squire and Batman meeting up with Henry Ducard. And Batman, he's pieced together. He's pieced together what Henry Ducard was talking about on that train car, because he said that there were only 2 individuals that were ever that good. In that dining car, he gave up a hint of kinda who Equilibrium was. Batman being that individual that is one of the best, but Equilibrium, she is the other. A protege of Henry Ducard, and her name is Charlotte Lee Surf, saying that she was a lot like Batman, but she also had a lot of differences about her. She was one of a mercenary. She would definitely kill somebody. She had no moral conundrum with that. And she was good. She was terrifyingly good at what she did. She went on to work for some of the top agencies. And she killed people, but she only killed people for the right side, or what she believed to be the right side. She chose her jobs to try to make the world a better place. She chose jobs no one else could get away with. And one day she stopped. She stopped and left all of that behind. And that's because she met somebody. She met somebody and she had a child. And so for the most part, she had retired until a man by the name of John Gallagher interfered in her life. And Bruce Wayne, he remembers this name from Liverpool, a few days before they saved London from being blown up 10 years ago. Because Batman, he was in London, he was in England to take down a gun smuggling ring with the help of Knight and Squire. But they got wind that they were coming. And because of that, they decided to burn the entire place down to the ground. And with this place burning down to the ground, there's individuals inside that needed saving. And inside they found 2 people, John Gallagher and one of the smugglers. Gallagher, just simply being an accountant, he was working late, but they were able to save them, get them out of there. But the only issue is, about a year ago, John Gallagher, he drank just a little bit too much. He got behind the wheel of a car and he got in a car wreck. He ended up hitting Charlotte and her family. Now Charlotte, she was the only one to survive this crash. Seeing her only child and her loving husband dead inside the car, she goes over to John Gallagher and she snaps his freaking neck. And with her unable to accept the randomness of everything that has transpired, she looked for somebody to blame, for some kind of reason for this happening. And that's when she came across Batman. Finding out that Batman saved his life, she vows to undo everything that Batman has ever done, because these people should have died. And by saving their lives, he is changing the course of history. He is changing the future. So with his intervention creating so many ripples throughout time, she sees Batman as an agent of chaos. And this is where he realizes that Equilibrium, she is very aware of Batman saving London. She knows everything that Batman has done in the terms of saving people's lives. And so with this knowledge, Batman is more than aware of her next target. Her next target is going to be the entirety of London itself. Alright gang, so as we dive into the last issue of Batman the Detective, we are picking up with Equilibrium breaking into the prison where all of her guys are at. Charlotte came in quick, she came in fast, and she hit them hard. With Ducard training her exceptionally well, she was able to blow through all of the guards and free all of her men. Now all of these guys, all of them, were hired mercenaries. All except for one of them, that being Sullivan. Now the idea is that Sullivan was supposed to be left here, with his father being a crime lord. Batman is one who helped put him away. But Equilibrium, she lets Sullivan know that you helped get me to this place. You helped get all of us here. You helped build Equilibrium. It is only right that you be by my side when we bring it all down. It's only right that you be there for the very end. Now picking up with Batman, Squire, and Henry Ducard. They are currently flying over the English Channel, and Henry is really just letting Bruce Wayne know that she was always a better student than him. And one reason is she was always willing to bring friends. She was always willing to work in a group, something Batman has never been too fond of. Even though he's created his Bat family, he's created this network in Europe known as the Alliance of the Bat. At the end of the day, he truly does work alone in most situations, telling him that it shows real personal growth that he invited Henry onto this. Batman, of course, saying that he's merely an asset and that is the only reason he is here. But Batman sends out a signal to the Alliance of the Bat, letting them all know that London is in immediate danger. Now, the thing Batman asks from everybody, from the entire Alliance of the Bat, is he needs complete honesty right now. Has anything gone missing? Have they sold anything to shady individuals? If any of their governments has done anything and possibly sold this to Equilibrium, he needs to know. And this is when the US military, of course, comes in and lets him know on a private channel that they sold something to somebody. And as soon as they sold it, they went missing. Now, this is most likely what happened. This is most likely the option that they're gonna go with, believing that whatever was bought from the US military is going to be used for ill intentions. And even Batman lets him know this is not a group that you should be selling to. And all he says is, I'm well aware of that, what can I do to help? As if that alleviates the entire problem. You just supplied a terrorist organization with weapons, and the only response is, I'm well aware of that. But what Batman really needs is all the makes, all the models of everything that was stolen, and he needs all of this information without alerting anybody inside the US military. And that's what brings our heroes to a London private airfield. With them making their landing in London, it is time to get to work. Now, Henry Ducard, he is going to go out and he's going to start hunting down Equilibrium, finding out where they are, where they're going to attack, and when this is going to be at. And so first things first, Batman and Squire, they head off to the Castle of the Night, getting Squire home. Batman even says thank you for letting him use Squire, because if it weren't for Squire, there's a good possibility Batman could have ended up dead. But more than anything, Bruce Wayne knows exactly why Knight had took her under her wing. And that is because of her mother. Squire's mother was the smuggler in the warehouse 10 years ago. The one who went back into a burning building to save John Gallagher. Her name being Nikita Iluko. She ran into the fire to save someone and she went to prison afterwards. Now, of course, she was obviously a smuggler. She did bad things. But at the end of the day, Knight feels heavily responsible for everything that transpired. And now she hasn't seen her daughter her entire life. And Knight, more than anything, not necessarily blames herself, but believes that their actions do have consequences, and that consequence is this little girl not growing up with a family, not growing up with a mother or father or anything else. But in the midst of this conversation, this is when his suitcase starts beeping. And that beep is an alert that they have to make their move. As they hop into the car and they make their way across the city, we get Ducard on the phone, him telling Batman that it is too late. Sullivan had called a family member and he told them to get out of London. The only reason he knows this is because a British tabloid has been keeping tabs on anyone related to Charlotte, anyone related to Sullivan, doing this in an attempt to get some kind of scoop on what is going on. And it traced all the way to Bankside Pier. And so whatever they're gonna do to the city, they're gonna be watching right in the middle of all of it. Now, right now, he is on the river on a ferry. He has taken down a couple of these Equilibrium guys, but he lets Batman know that this is no longer his game. With Equilibrium soldiers making their way towards him, with Sullivan on this ferry, he lets Bruce Wayne know that he's not getting out of this, saying that he might have had a chance if he hadn't taken so many freaking bullet holes over the last couple of days. But with the condition that he is currently in, there is no way in heck he could take on Sullivan. Batman telling him that they are on the way, that they are very close to his position, that he needs to hold on just for a little bit longer. And he tells them that he's not gonna make it, but he apologizes. He apologizes for helping make Equilibrium. Though Henry isn't necessarily responsible for this, he just helped train Charlotte to the best of her abilities. She took those talents and she went out and she did bad things with it. But he also trained Batman. and Batman has saved countless lives over the years. And so if you feel responsible for equilibrium, then you are also responsible for every single life that I have ever saved. And so he tells Batman thank you, and he says goodbye, with Sullivan coming down, looking like a brute of a monster, getting ready to smash Henry's face in. This is where we see Batman drive straight off of the bridge, driving his Batmobile onto this ferry. It crashes down on the ground. Squire, Knight, and Batman all pile out of the vehicle, and the fight is on. Now our heroes, they start laying down some haymakers, putting these guys down into the dirt. It doesn't take long for them to make their way through all of these mercenaries. That is, until we have the arrival of Equilibrium, telling Batman that he can't save them. Because at the end of the day, London should not exist. You saved London one time, you saved this city, and because of that, the ripple effect that has happened since then has caused countless numbers of lives. But tonight, all of that ends. And as everyone looks up to the sky, this is where we see military drones, predator drones, unmanned vehicles, loaded up with missiles. So many drones that it could level the entire city instantaneously. Sold to Equilibrium by the US government. An entire fleet of them. Ducard trying to tell her that she can't bring her family back, that this will not change anything. With him asking where the controls are so they can stop this, she lets them know that there are no controls. But Batman lets everybody know that there are over 50 drones. She can't control that alone. They are all pre-programmed, and then they were reprogrammed. They were reprogrammed by Oracle. Because for once, Batman listened to the advice of Henry Ducard. When Henry told him that Charlotte's biggest weapon was bringing in friends, that's exactly what Batman did. He brought in Nightwing and Oracle. And now all of these drones are all under the control of Batman. And Nightwing lets him know that we can do something really theatrical with all of these drones if you would like us to. You want us to write someone's name in the sky? Like, what do you want us to do here? And so with the drones being taken care of, Henry Ducard, he pulls up his pistol and he goes to end the mistake that he created so long ago. He goes to shoot Charlotte, only to have Batman stop him with a batarang. Now Henry says that she won't stop. She's going to murder the city no matter what. She gets away and she still will, asking Batman, will he really save one life and condemn millions more? And we see Equilibrium pick up the gun and she lets him know that it's true. But it's what Batman does. He saves lives no matter what the consequences. Because whatever happens next, she believes is not his responsibility. Or at least that is how Batman has played it for so many years. Because he saved the Joker's life on countless occasions. And because of that, hundreds of people have died because he simply could not pull the trigger. There has been so much pain because of the interventions that he has done. Now Squire chimes in and says that she has never been saved by Batman. But one thing he did just do, he stopped Ducard from shooting you. No matter what, he still cared about your life. And this is when Equilibrium, she realizes that Squire is right. Batman did just save her life. And so she takes that pistol, she puts it underneath her chin, and she unalives herself. With the bullet going off, Batman is able to stop the round with his freaking hand. Believing that she had just killed herself, that in fact did not happen. Batman was able to grab the bullet before it was able to enter her head. Screaming that he can't take this from her, he is not gonna let her kill herself. With Batman knocking her out, Ducard saying that that was a great move, but I am 90% sure that your hand right now is absolutely shattered into pieces. Because no matter how great your Kevlar gloves are, you just took a blast at point blank from a gun into your hand. Now Henry, he believes that Batman's going to try to arrest him because he did just try to murder this woman here, tried to murder Charlotte. But at the end of the day, Batman, he says no. Like, I'm not gonna arrest you, I'm gonna take her to jail, and I'm gonna make things right. I'm gonna go out and try to make the world a better place. And so Batman and Knight together, they used their influence, they used their lawyers, they used their money, and they got in touch with the parole board and got Squire's mother out on parole. Now the question is, why are you doing this? And at the end of the day, Batman has grown a little bit. He's learned a little bit. Because this is about equilibrium. It's about balance. It's about undoing the wrong things that he has done. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. No, I gotta say, I am thoroughly enjoying everything that happened in this line. I think it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a branch off from the regular Batman lines we get. And the idea, the equilibrium was formed because of everything Batman has done, the ripple effect that has caused and causing other people to die. It could be easy to point the finger when you lost your husband and child. And so while Batman this entire time never really looked at the aspect of him saving people could necessarily have a bad effect, it could have a negative outcome to it. But after all of this, that's exactly what he has learned. And doing things like getting Squire's mom out of prison are just the small little things that he can help do to fix the consequences of his actions. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.